Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. An absolute pleasure to speak to you both. How are you? Okay.
Great. How are you? Good to
Great.
see you.
Pleasure.
So Pachinko, I mean, what an ambitious project from start to finish, covering different time spans, both a specific and a universal story, multiple languages. What was the initial appeal for each of you to be involved with the project? Was it first reading the book, and what made you realize this was just going to work so well as a series?
Well, it was 4 years ago when the project for us first began. And at the time, to tell a trilingual series, Korean, Japanese, English, with a predominantly all Asian cast was very unheard of. And at the time in Hollywood, it was very hard to even dream about pitching it. But Michael and Sue Hugh, our amazing showrunner, and we just had a vision that this could get made. And Sue had this stunning vision for the entire series that allowed for the adaptation to exist. But I think the series, we hope that audiences take away from it is that it is intimate, it is epic, but it'll transport you and it'll take you to a time and a place that you've never been before, but it's incredibly personal and familiar too. So I think those things are ideals that we've immediately wanted to achieve and we felt could be done.
And in terms of kind of the different pieces of the puzzle you had to put together, maybe you can just talk us a little bit through that, both, getting your multinational cast together, having, to shoot in different time periods, and particularly your approach of using two quite different directors for different portions of it.
Thank you. First and foremost, when Theresa had introduced me as Sue, Sue from the very first conversation had this big idea about past and present being in dialogue, right? So that rather than tell the story in a linear fashion, we'd intercut between these two time periods. So that was incredibly ambitious and inspiring and creatively great. It also meant there were unique production challenges, right? Because you needed to create not only the past, but the present, as in it's all past, but the more contemporary aesthetic in the 80s. So first, in terms of our casting, it was a painstaking process to create a unified vision of this. Both you had to truly believe them as a family, and not just in the past, but young Sunja to older Sunja. And so casting YJ as our anchor was so essential because she can carry the entire weight of the world. Every time you cut to her face, you see the past in her face. Jin Ha he spoke Korean and English, also had to learn Japanese, which he knew some of, but master, and then had to move fluidly between the three, and not just in translation, but really as an expression of his character, right? He's a different person when he's speaking Korean and when he's speaking Japanese. And then Lee Min-ho, like what a tremendous get for this show. I mean, for him to come, he's both a gigantic star, charismatic lead. He wanted to show a different side of himself as an actor, and he did. And his Hansu is commanding and complicated and does a lot of bad things, but he's also able to give us a window into his soul. And so we care for him and we connect with him as well. And we can't imagine anyone else having played that role.
All the actors really elevated how we're envisioning the characters initially. So they really enhanced our vision for it. And I think Sue did a really excellent job just thinking about the architecture of everything.
Yeah. And then look, we were filming in Korea and Vancouver during the pandemic, which, as you can imagine, had its own challenges. And Mara, our production designer, and we had a number of historians consult on all the scripts and the production, Korean, Zainichi, Japanese, in Japan and Korea, as well as in America, to strive for as authentic a rendering of these periods as possible. And that was essential to Sue as well, and to our directors. And and Kogana and Justin, Kogana's a more formalist and Justin's a more looser. And we thought the show, I think that reflects the language of the show itself, right? Which is the characters and their journey. Circumstances mean they have to play a certain role at all times, but there's a fire and an energy in them as well, and occasionally they get to express And so we liked having this dialogue between the two filmmaking styles. And we think it comes across as one unified aesthetic, but they both brought themselves to it and poured themselves into it. They both have their own personal connection to this story. Both are Korean American. Koganada's family has Zainichi roots as well. And so this was a labor of love for everyone involved who made it.
Well, I think I'm out of time, sadly, but it's been a pleasure to speak to you both. Thank you so much for
Likewise.
sharing with us. Can't wait for everyone
Thank
else to
you.
see this incredible
Thank
series.
you.
Thank you. Cheers.